John Brown, your brother, your host. I, of course, am the guy speaking to you on the Man versus Brand podcast. Now, I know you guys have heard me discuss how I truly and absolutely disdain toxic positivity. And by toxic positivity, I mean that as a culture, we have dug into principles around improving mental health, around changing and pivoting from negative thought, but we oftentimes lack the tools and strategies necessary to actually enact that change, that pivot, that growth, right? We were told that we're supposed to use mantras, breathing exercises, positive thinking, the power of manifestation, but oftentimes we're not given how we should go and approach those things. And also where the pitfalls might lead or might be where we miss some of the opportunities to truly use and catalyze those skills for our own benefit. The truth is, you don't know what you don't know till you know that you don't know it. So as we approach life and approach becoming our better selves and evolving as human beings, and as we empower our minds to lead us to the destinations that we ultimately want to be at, how do we ensure that the things that we're doing, the road that we're, the journey that we're pursuing, is ultimately going to lead us to the place that we want to be at? And I think what critical thought would say is, how do we know that the destination that we're choosing today is in fact where we want to be? Right? How do we know that like the place that we want to arrive at is actually the place that we intend to? Because we know that intentions may be different from action. And so to have a conversation not only around manifestation, law of attraction, how to utilize the power of our thoughts and energy to create realities that we can truly be joyous in. I have the author, two of many books, but I'm going to speak on one of which that I had the pleasure to read this past weekend. My guest is Zehra Mahoon, and she has written Manifesting Mistakes, Common Mistakes in Understanding and Using the Law of Attraction. And so with that, I want you guys to get really comfortable in that chair, to sit back on your rowing machine or bike, to ease into a nice stride on the treadmill, and listen to what you may not know, not only about some things that you may be incorrectly doing that you may easily shift in order to attract and manifest with more intentionality. I'm going to let that ride for the episode. I also want you guys to sit in and just understand what law of attraction should be providing, how to tell if law of attraction is manifesting in your life. What does that look like? What does that sound like? More importantly, what does it feel like? What are the thoughts and feelings that are associated when you are, in fact, attracting what you intend? So I want you guys to enjoy the episode. Zehra, thank you for joining us on the Man vs. Brand podcast. Please take time to introduce yourself to the audience.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here. It's exciting to have this discussion. Introduce myself. Okay. Well, I call myself a law of attraction expert, and I've earned that title by making lots of mistakes in using law of attraction and then correcting those mistakes, turning my life around, and really creating abundance in all aspects of my life. I've been teaching law of attraction for the past 15 years now, and as you know, I've written 18 books about it. I have several online programs. I run online communities, and I'm a very quiet person unless I'm talking about law of attraction. If I'm talking about law of attraction, you cannot take the mic away from me.
I won't, I promise. I will let you go for as long as you need to. So I have a question. My most sort of immediate question is, you know, there's so many people talking about the law of attraction, talking about manifestation, and they're oftentimes doing it in what I think is important from like an awareness standpoint in like social media quick bites or quick videos or in TikTok videos. Are you really able to understand the law of attraction if social media is your primary source for that information? Like, is this something that, if, in your experience of just maybe seeing the landscape of social media, or just in your understanding of like everything that someone needs to know comprehensively to understand the law of attraction and manifestation, do you feel like social media is a good primary source, or is it a good introductory source, or is it a good full breadth of knowledge place for folks to go to?
It's not a full breadth of knowledge at all, but it is a good place to start. Even in a 1 minute YouTube short video, you can introduce an idea that makes people think, huh, really? I mean, you can challenge people's thinking. And I think that when you do that, people start questioning what they have known and whether they should do it better. And that gets them going in terms of looking for information. And because it's law of attraction, once you say, I have a question, the answer will come in some way, shape, or form.
So I'm going to bastardize this phrase, but a really great guy who may be listening to this podcast, uh, Jamal Hadi, said to me that he took a quote from somewhere. So that's why I don't know how bastardized this is. But he
Yeah.
says, teachers come when students are ready, right? Or teachers appear when students are ready, right?
Yeah,
And
when the student is ready, the teacher shall appear.
okay, thank you so much for that. Now I'll get to use it in its proper context, and I don't have to use the word bastard. I will always quote and thank Jamal for introducing me to the quote.
Yeah,
And so that to me feels a lot like what you're saying, right? Is
yeah.
that in the moments that we have questions, and from this quote and from the way that you're applying it and just saying it, I'm starting to understand that differently from when he introduced the quote to me. I felt like teacher meant person, but in hearing you discuss it in a social media context, it may be like the universe arriving to a route for you to learn, right? So this may be that I have a question and I may be doing a search and then something gets introduced to me and leads me down a pathway that I end up with an answer that I didn't I didn't I wasn't searching for the answer in an active, this will be the end of this route or this act or these I don't even know, like
Yeah.
these actions that weren't meant to lead me to this answer, but because I came from a place of curiosity and I sought out an answer to a question that I may have not even fully formed in my mind, I arrived to the answer anyhow. And it's
Mhm.
because I ultimately was asking the question.
Yes. You
Maybe.
don't have to put words to a question.
Yes. Thank you. Okay.
Mm.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes
So
sense.
we ask questions all the time. We are expressing preferences and asking questions all the time, every single day. Every time you look at something and you say, why is it like that? That's a preference and a question.
So it's been said that the human brain processes, some studies say 18,000 thoughts a day, others say closer to 50,000 thoughts a day. The point is that there are like conscious front of the mind thoughts that are
Mhm.
happening, and then there are
Mhm.
subconscious back of the mind thoughts that are happening, right? How do we
Yeah.
know? How do we know when the answer that's arriving is because we are actively thinking about it versus you know our mind questioning it, but not necessarily in a way that it's in the forefront of our thoughts. Like, how do
So,
we know? Because I feel like so many times, and just to give it an example that maybe you can use, or maybe you can say not, right? Like, I feel like this feels most poignant to me when um when people are looking for like signs of affirmation from the universe. Maybe it's like, I don't really know what's going on or what's happening. And you find that they didn't necessarily place, again, like what you were saying, language to it or verbal component to it, but they're so sure in the response that the universe has provided to them in a way, right? Where they're like, this answers something that I didn't even really understand was a question for me. And they see it show up in their lives. So how do we know when like when we're actively seeking it, or when it's in the forefront of our mind, versus where something may be provided as an answer where maybe we weren't actively thinking about it, but it was one of those 18 to 50,000 thoughts that were permeating our mind.
So I want to ask you a question. If you were driving and you weren't really looking for fresh strawberries,
Yeah.
but you just on a whim turned onto a road and there were fresh strawberries. Do you care whether you were aware or unaware? Like there they are, and so you have them. So my question is, why does it matter whether you're aware or not aware if the thing that you wanted appears?
So I think I would say that maybe it would be said, right? So I will say that maybe it'll be said. I'm not sure if this is my fully formed thought on it or not, right? But I'm working through this as you're asking the question. That in one case, I feel like I'm more participatory in the
Yes,
results, and the
yes,
other is the
exactly,
result came and found me. And so I feel synchronicity in the universe
yes,
happening
yes, yes,
versus me
yes.
just applying my own effort. And because of my own
Perfect.
effort, this result happened.
Perfect. Perfect. So, this is the difference between being a deliberate creator and creating by default. A deliberate creator knows where they're heading and what they are looking for. And creating by default is just, oh, okay. It's kind of like, I didn't plan it, but all right, I'll take it.
It's like it's
So,
surprising you. The universe is like surprising you with this
well,
thing.
we love surprises either way. But the thing is, being a deliberate creator, what that does for us is that it gives us control. We feel like I have control because I can tell if I'm heading towards what I want or away from what I want. That gives me control because if I know which way I'm headed, I can do a U-turn. If I figure out that I'm going the wrong way, I will turn around and start going the right way. And that's why we want to be aware. But you said so much there. So I want to break down some of the things that you said because I got so excited as I was listening to you talk. So here's the thing. There's so much talk about, so there are a couple of things I want to distinguish. First, there is awareness and lack of awareness.
Okay.
But awareness and lack of awareness are different from what we call conscious and subconscious.
Okay.
But people mix it up. People often think that being unaware means the subconscious is thinking. Whereas the subconscious is just a storage place, it doesn't do any thinking.
Got it.
Thinking, thinking always happens in the conscious mind, sometimes with awareness and sometimes without awareness, but it
Got
always happens in the conscious mind. So we go off on this autopilot when we are not aware where we are in our thoughts, but nevertheless the thinking is still happening in the conscious mind.
So when we are dreaming,
Hmm.
right? And
With your eyes open or when you're asleep?
when you're asleep, good question. I'm going to say when we were asleep. For the purpose of this
Okay,
podcast, I'm going to say when you're asleep, right?
I know this can go in many different
It,
directions,
it
so
could, it could, it
I
could. I'm going
just
to try
want to be
to.
aware.
I know. I'm trying to keep it grounded. I'm trying to keep it grounded. So that was a good question, actually. So when we're sleeping and the puzzle is
Hmm.
being put together for us,
Hmm.
right? So often times we can wake up with these kind of epiphany like moments
Mm-hmm.
of having your dream state inform what your waking state
Mm-hmm.
is, or
Unaware of.
actually, yeah, unaware of, right? Is
Mm-hmm.
that a matter of awareness or is that a matter of consciousness from
Mm.
your perspective? Because that
Okay.
to me is where I think this becomes slightly interesting to me, right? Where does when your dreaming state informs your waking state, is that a matter of your an awareness that you have that is not in the forefront of your mind
It
coming to
works.
you when you're in an unaware state?
It works in many different ways, and it's so interesting. Again, law of attraction in action, because I just posted a video on my YouTube channel about exactly this subject.
Really?
Just today, I
Mhm.
posted a video on my YouTube channel about what your question is. So there are a couple of things about this dream state that we can go in different directions with. The very first one um, is your consciousness really asleep? Because a lot of times people lay down to go to bed, but their consciousness is still awake.
Yes.
Those are people who think they don't actually really go into REM sleep. They sleep, but they don't wake up feeling refreshed because they didn't really turn off the machinery. And so it's like, if you if you think about it like a computer, like the computer that you are on and I am on just now, it
Yeah.
has a couple of components. It has a hard disk where all the information is stored, and then it has a desktop where we have those tabs open that we are working on. This is like, the tabs open are the conscious mind, and the hard disk is the subconscious. The conscious mind, or the tabs, we open files that are stored on the subconscious when we need them. So your mind stores everything that it think it might ever need in the subconscious mind.
Yes.
Now, if you don't sit at your desk and you just walk away, after a few minutes, your screen will go dark, or you'll have whatever screensaver going on, and the machinery will seem like it's gone to sleep, but it hasn't.
Yes.
Your operating system is still operating.
Yes.
And this is what happens to people who go to sleep without going to sleep. They sleep, but the operating system, the conscious mind, has not been put off. It is still operating behind the display screen. It's not asleep. So the thing, there's a bifurcation. If your conscious mind is awake, the images that you receive as dreams are a mixture of your thoughts and the universe talking to you.
Okay.
But if you are able to put your conscious mind, turn it off, shut down the computer, don't
Yeah.
just let it go to sleep, shut it down, then the images that you're receiving are coming from the universe and there's guidance in them.
Got it.
So
Okay.
people
So
who create, people who manifest while they're sleeping,
yeah.
like people like Tesla,
Yeah.
he would sleep and wake up and he had an invention.
Yeah.
Einstein did the same thing. They
Yeah.
actually have the ability to shut down the operating system so
Good.
that they can receive questions that they asked while they were awake. They receive the answers while they're asleep.
Got it. Okay, so I've been wanting to say this for a second. First, please introduce to everyone your YouTube channel. It'll be in the show notes. But if they're listening right now and they just want to, guys, don't worry about it. You can come back to this episode in like 5 minutes if you want. But just go check out her YouTube channel, subscribe to it, and then just come back over here and finish up the
Thank
episode
you.
real quick. So tell the folks that are listening or watching what your YouTube episode is.
My
I don't think
YouTube
you
channel is Z Mahoon. Z Mahoon is my handle across all social media as well as my website. So my first initial, which is Z, and my last name, Mahoon. Z Mahoon. That is my website. That is my YouTube. That is my social handle.
All right, cool. All right, so pause this, go subscribe, come right back. I see if that you're not coming back. I'll know. I will know. All right. So the second thing that I want to say, there's three. The second thing that I want to say is that um, I think that you have a really great way, as a compliment, a really great way of grounding abstract concepts into really concrete application. I've talked to a lot of folks that sort of work in thought, abstract thought, energy, abstract energy, right? Like, and I think that you do a really, really, really comprehensive job of like making it seem super applicable and easy to understand. And I really appreciate that. I know the listeners and viewers appreciate that, because I think that a lot of folks want to access the benefits of like law of attraction, of manifestation, um, but I think sometimes it feels very sort of ethereal or very sort of non-concrete or like, very sort of obscure in a way, right? And I think that it's in using these sorts of the car example with the strawberries or
Mhm.
the computer example with the dream state, right? I think it allows folks to have like a very clear functioning example of it that they can then overlay the abstract thought over. So just want to say that, like, thank you for
Thank
having
you.
really great examples because I think it's needed in this space specifically. Now, I have a question. I have a follow-up question now. So
Sure.
when we're talking about the this idea of let's take an Einstein, Tesla, with what he's doing with Twitter and now changing it to X. I don't know if he's an example that people would love right now, but let's take Einstein as someone that is, people mostly hold him in a positive high regard still, right? So let's take him, right? Like, so the universe is informing you on questions that you may have, on problems to solve, on
Mhm.
on things that you may be able to do. Now, a lot of folks wake with this sort of energy, right? This energy to enact what this dream state has suggested, recommended, informed them of, instructed them on, whatever the verb that one
Sure.
wants to use, right? And it feels like oftentimes, and I've been a participant in this, where like the energy level is so high when you first have it, this sort of idea in this dream or
Right.
this instruction in this
Yep.
dream, and it feels really unsustainable long term, right? That
Mm-hmm.
it feels like maybe there's this day of, week of,
Uh-huh.
month of energy
Yeah.
around it, right? You just feel fed by it, you feel
Mm-hmm.
led by it, you feel
Mm-hmm.
compelled to do it. And then after a while, this thing feels
Mm-hmm.
either exhausting or that you may not
Mm-hmm.
have the capacity to enact it in the way
Right.
in which you dreamt it, right? So, like, is that a matter of like not writing things down, not creating structure around it? Like, what can people
Mm-hmm.
do if like you feel like you like law of attraction has allowed you to manifest an answer to solve a problem, but you feel like when this occurs, you lack the sustained energy or fortitude maybe to see that thing through, and or I'm gonna give you one more thing, and or is it possible that the universe is giving you the solution to something that may not mean that it's that the present day is your day to solve that thing or to use that thing? It may be introducing a concept to you that may not necessarily have a today application, so we're trying to force it today, and that's where the energy exhaustion comes from because we're acting maybe faster than what is intended. I don't know. Just shooting some scenarios out. But what do you think that's about? Because I find that to be a very common problem that people have when they feel like the universe has told them something
Well,
in their.
first of all, I have to say I'm really having fun with this because you're asking really yummy, 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 yummy questions. I love these questions. So, so the thing is, every every individual is different, and that is why the way things play out are different for everyone. but I'm going to talk in generalities which may not be applicable to everyone across the board. So
Sure.
here's the first thing. Um, Let us not confuse our open eyed dreams with the dreams that the universe serves to us while we're asleep. Because our open eyed dreams, meaning, for example, my dream to be on the TEDx stage, that is more like my vision of my future. That's
Okay.
not something the universe informed me of. That is, in fact, me informing the universe that that's what I would like. So, so when I go to sleep now, the universe can inform me what my next steps are that will get me to that dream. So I can receive in my sleep state confirmation that the universe has heard me, because when I dream, I can see myself on the stage. And when I awake, I have a clear idea of what I want to do so that I can get closer to that dream. Is that I need to enroll for speaker training, or I need to find someone who can help me get on the TEDx stage. So there are steps involved in getting there, but the universe does not tell us what we should aim for. That is a decision we make. The universe tells us how we can accomplish it. That's where we get guidance.
So this is an example of how our being intentional around our thoughts and what we're attracting from the universe informs the universe of how it can support us to get to that thing. So if
Exactly.
we are being negative and consistently um poisonous in our thoughts and not clarifying and adjusting those thoughts and evolving those thoughts as we go,
Yes, yes,
then
yes.
the universe may be in fact giving us what we're asking for, even though what we are asking for may not actually be in line with what we really want.
Want. Yes. And so we do our asking through our vibration, not through our words. But I want to go back because there was more in your question. There was something else that you said. What was it, Dion?
Oh, so this idea around the present day versus, I don't know if that's the part, but so I was talking about like the fact that maybe the universe is providing an answer that may not be that where it may not be accomplished today. It may be informing you, or I think I brought up this idea around just energy exhaustion around an idea that
That's the
sometimes.
one. Okay.
Okay.
So let me go back. So the because we have free will, the universe never decides for us where we should be going. It just tells us what path we can follow from where we are. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is, the reason we feel depleted after a while is because we start beating up on, in our heads, we start beating up on what it is that we are aiming for. Meaning, I want that, but I start telling in the beginning, I feel really excited. Yes, I'm going to do this. But after a while, I start feeling like, is it ever going to happen? Why isn't it happening yet?
Yeah.
How can I do it? Like, it's not happening fast enough. And that's where we've got this thing about instant gratification going on in our culture these days, where if something takes longer than a day, we are like, it's not happening for me. And then we start this chatter in our heads. I can't do it. Other people get it. I don't know how they get it. What they must be doing something under the table or hanky panky or whatever,
Yeah.
like they are getting it, I'm not getting it. So that means something's wrong, and that's how your energy goes down. It goes down because of your chatter. And the other reason your energy goes down is if you try to swallow the elephant whole. So
So
a
we
lot.
so we can in essence create this sort of noise,
Mhm.
right? From what I'm hearing, like we can create this noise around what we're doing,
That's right.
that where we stop
Yeah.
hearing, we stop being able to focus clearly on the path, and we start
Yes.
focusing on the way in which we want that thing to occur,
Yes.
not on the eventuality, not the steadfastness of the eventuality that it will occur. So we start to
Yes.
lose hope in the fact that it will occur because we
That's
start getting this white noise around the
right. Yes.
particulars that we want from
Yes.
it.
And sometimes it's as simple as I wake up, I'm so excited about something that I think I want to move on, and I go and share it with someone who does not share my vision.
Yeah, yeah,
And then they don't have my belief systems, they don't have my journey, they don't know my vision, and they're going to, if I share my idea with them, they're going to say, that's not possible. And now I'm going to start thinking, why did they say that? Maybe I'm wrong. And you start that whole thing about self doubt comes up, where you start second guessing your own instincts. Your dream was meant for you, it was not meant for your other family members. Your
yeah.
dream was not meant for your friends, it was not meant for your neighbor. Your dream was meant for you. And so asking other people to validate your dream, I've never found that to be a good strategy ever.
So, guys, if you're listening to the podcast right now and you have an aspiration for TEDx, you don't know how to apply to it, you're not really sure how to speak. I was introduced to Taylor Conroy. He helps people get on TEDx stages. So, by the way, this is a shameless plug, not because it was asked, but just in case you ask the universe to provide you with a coaching system to get you on TEDx, that's the one who I actually know that has a coaching system for TEDx. So, check him out. It's called it's Taylor Conroy. Check him out. Find his company. I can't remember what the company's called, but
Thought
it's
leader.
great.
Thought
Huh?
leader. It's
Oh
called
yeah,
thought.
thought leader. There we go, thought leader. Look at that. Look at that. All right, cool. So I'm just using your example because it was a great example, and I
Yep.
figured if that example was to lead someone somewhere, then maybe maybe that
For
plug
sure.
is
For sure.
the way
Yeah.
it's provided.
Yeah.
So so let's maybe shift a bit and talk about the book.
Mm-hmm.
So manifesting mistakes. Like
Yes.
there's about 15 mistakes that you cover,
Yes.
right? In the book. You lay them out. You lay out activities that you can do,
Yep.
thinking exercises to participate in, and you give some thought around it and or an example of in your own coaching business how you helped someone or the case scenario that is providing a reference or a starting point, jumping off point for this mistake. I'm going to bastardize again. It's like I'm gonna take something that you said. I could flip through the book, but I feel like I'm gonna stay present in our conversation. So please correct me. Please correct me.
Sure.
There is a mistake which I think is important. And I had a bunch of them written down, but I figured I would let the conversation lead us. It in essence says that to think about something positively is not enough.
Mm-hmm.
That there has to be an awareness, right, to your thoughts. That just to think positively does not necessarily attract things to you, that there has to be an awareness around what your thoughts actually are.
It goes a step further than that.
Okay, please.
The issue really is that people think that they are being positive when they are not.
Okay.
So the biggest problem that I find when people come to me for coaching, or they send me a question, or they need help with something, is that they don't realize that they are being negative. They don't understand the difference between what is a negative thought, what is a positive thought. So, for example, when I say, if I was to say to my son, don't jump from there, you'll hurt yourself,
Mm-hmm.
it feels as if that's positive. because I want a positive result. But
Yes.
in reality, that is not a positive thought, because by saying don't jump from there, you might hurt yourself. I am focusing on him getting hurt. And that is what I'm activating.
So, uh, so as you're talking about it, I want you to continue your thought. Is it negative because it is focused on a negative outcome, or is it negative because it is barring an experience without the context of the person understanding an alternate way to approach it, right? Like, is it negative because it's you'll get hurt, or is it negative because you're saying don't do that
So
and not
it's
really
negative.
providing an alternate thing that could provide a similar
No,
level of
no,
joy without the context of it? Like, which
no,
part of that is the
no,
negative
no,
one?
no, 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 no. So
Or
here's
both.
the thing. It's negative because it's creating fear.
Got it. Okay.
So vibration is what causes things to happen. And I am afraid. That's why I'm saying that to him. And by saying that to him, now I have made him afraid. So both of us are now in a place, or a vibration of fear, and a negative, that's a negative vibration. Nobody can say fear is a positive thing. So so now we are both focused with a vibration of fear, which cannot have a positive result. A negative vibration leads to a negative result, positive vibration leads to a positive result. But as a parent, if I said that to my son and now I've put him in a place of fear and he still jumps, the result is going to be negative. He will get hurt. And then I'll say, I told you so.
So the reason why I ask is because I have conversations with parents, the caretakers of young folks, about fostering curiosity, and this
Mhm.
idea that we're oftentimes telling kids don't touch that, don't go over there, don't do that. That it not only creates, I guess, fear of a consequence, right? Like, don't touch
Yes.
that because you might break it. It doesn't
Yeah.
all it creates a fear of consequence, but it also socializes the child to be afraid to be curious as a life approach, right? When you're told, don't touch that, don't go over there, don't do that, don't jump,
Yeah.
don't move, don't, right? Like, now
Yep.
all of a sudden the person has a longer term, um, they could possibly, not everyone's the same, of course,
Yes.
right? But they could build this sort of resistance to curiosity, and that
Yes.
curiosity may not necessarily manifest in a physical way. It
Yes.
could be a curiosity of thought, a curiosity. I mean, a curiosity
Very true.
of thought, a curiosity to challenge pre-existing concepts or ways of doing things. And so that's really, I think, where my question was going, is that, is
Yeah.
it we can be negative, we can is it negative not only in the direct consequence, but also possibly in the longer ramification
Well,
of
the
that consequence?
longer ramification is that we are taking the child's guidance away, because the child has their own inner guidance, what we call gut feel.
Yeah.
And because the child's beliefs about height and how far they can jump are not the same as yours, and so you are giving advice from your own experience, but the child can create their own experience. What happens is that then children become dependent on parents' guidance and are no longer able to make decisions for themselves. And they don't trust their own decision making because they're always thinking, what if I do this and it's going to go wrong? Maybe I'm not right. Maybe I shouldn't be doing this. And so it robs them of their ultimate confidence, and it robs them of the ability to make their own decisions. It robs them of their ability to go and experiment in the world, as you said, very true. And ultimately, it does not. It it is conducive to the child shrinking rather than growing. It
Yeah.
holds the child back
And
rather
that
than
child will ultimately become an adult, right? Who then
who
possibly
then
may have children,
exactly. Yeah.
possibly may enact those same sort of fears, right? Which then right, because I think it's interesting, right? We love to see children as children until they're adults, and then we
Yeah,
expect for them to have independent critical thinking, and we expect for them to have
response. Yeah,
emotional spectrum and emotional intelligence. But then if we're doing this sort of fear-based kind of talking, and we're focused on that part, it becomes questionable you whether the parent or the caretaker fostered the growth into being emotionally
exactly.
intelligent, curious, and
Yeah.
critical thinker, or if the child who's now an adult has come to those things in spite of you, right? So
We,
like
we just
they
we just
become
have to,
better
yeah,
because of their own effort. Not
exactly. And so the thing is to not try and give our beliefs to them. In fact, that applies to not just children, it applies to people as well. You're a different person, I'm a different person. We've had different experiences in life. So our beliefs are different. What you can do, maybe I cannot do. What I can do, maybe you cannot do, because our beliefs are different. Now, having said that, we can always change our beliefs because a belief is just a thought that we've got used to thinking, we've accepted it as being true. We can change a belief whenever we want to, but that's so much harder. So it's much easier just to let people come to their own decisions.
now, some of the arguments, not the arguments, but I think that like, so I'm going to rephrase this. So when we are when we are manifesting, when we are attracting for ourselves, how do we take into account simultaneously being learning based? Where like we are using what others have done, others have experienced
Yes.
to inform what we do, but
Yeah.
also living authentically in what we want and positively moving in the outcomes that we see for ourselves, right? Because I feel like
Mhm.
there's a space where maybe folks that are really focused on being learning based will say, well, no, those things are kind of in conflict, or they're not parallel to one another, right? That like, that my job, that one side of it, the manifestation side, isn't looking at an established pathway, or not looking at established pathways to get you
Yeah.
there, where
Yes.
learning based does. But I
Yeah.
feel like I don't know how I feel about the way that those two are differentiated, and the fact that maybe they can't be approached by a singular person, and find success by utilizing both strategies.
Um, your question is complicated, and the answer is even more complicated.
All right, we're here for it. We are here for it, guys. I told you, strap in. If you're sitting in the chair, grab some tea right now. This is about to get nerdy. It's about to get nerdy in here. So grab some tea, sit back, chamomile preferred, or if you need a shot of like caffeine, go for that too. But we're about to get nerdy. Okay, go.
Okay, so it's so I have an analogy about this.
Okay,
I have lots of analogies.
I'm here for it.
Um, our old, let's say that our old belief system, the belief system with which we see the world, with which we do the things that we do currently, let's say that it's represented by a red car. And let's say that we are now stepping, we think that the red car is not doing a good enough job. So we want law of attraction because we think we can become more powerful by using law of attraction. We can manifest this, that, and the other. So we want to adopt some of the beliefs that are part of law of attraction. For example, all things are possible. But people look at their bank accounts and they say, no, it's not possible.
Yeah, yeah,
Right? And so but we still want that. We want to see money in our bank accounts. We want to have a lover next to us. We want perfect health. We want all those things that we have been wanting for a very long time. And now law of attractions ignited this new hope within us that it can be possible, whereas we had forgotten about all those desires because we told ourselves there's no way this is going to happen.
Yeah.
So let's just live life the way it is in this red car. But suddenly, a new and shiny blue car shows up. It's the law of attraction car. It has hope written all over. And I just want to get off this red car and get into that blue car.
Okay.
But I can't because just now the gas tank of the blue car is empty. I have not put any gas in it. Gas for the blue car is the thought process of thinking those positive thoughts, of adopting the belief that all things are possible, knowing that things are always going to work out for me, even if I make a wrong turn somewhere along the way, because I have guidance inside me that's going to tell me in my dream state what I should do next. Sometimes it's even going to tell me in my wake state what I must do next. So I will always figure it out. I will always find my way because I have an internally embedded GPS system.
Okay.
So I want to start trusting this new GPS system, but I don't quite trust it just now. Just now, I don't even know how it works. I don't even know where the switch is. I don't even know how to turn it on. So the blue car is not going to start running right away. And unfortunately, I still have to cook dinner, I still have to go to work, and I still have to pay my bills. And that is only going to happen in the red car because guess what? The red car has a full tank of gas.
Yep.
Because I've been filling it up for a very long time. However many years I've been alive, I have been putting gas in that red car. It is zooming along, and I cannot just bring it to a stop. So, what I have to do is I have to stay in the red car. And from time to time, I go and casually drive the blue car once in a while. Once in a while, I'm more positive than I've ever been before. Once in a while, I make decisions that I would not have made before. Once in a while, I put some oil I put some gas in the gas tank of the blue car. And guess what? It starts running slowly. But it is not able to keep pace with the red car. However, if I keep going there and I keep putting gas in it, one day the blue car is going to start running full speed and it is going to leave the red car behind. And when that happens, I can transition fully from the red car into the blue car and not put any more gas in the red car, which means that the red car will eventually come to a stop and my old beliefs will stop controlling my life and I will have a brand new life. Law
Now,
of attraction based.
I want to add something to this because I also discussed this idea around learning based, but in your example, I feel like there is actually space for this because I feel like sometimes we expect it, we want a new car, but we've been so socialized in how our old car operates
Yeah.
that we need an instruction manual. I don't even know how to put gas in this. I don't know how
Yeah,
to make a
exactly.
turn in it. I don't
Exactly.
know what type of key it takes, right? So sometimes you need the learning base to get you
Yes, you
to
do.
understand the mechanics,
Exactly.
not
Yes.
necessarily to drive you down the road, but that you understand the mechanics around this new car, this new way of thinking. So, like, I want to be a doctor. I can have that dream, but I also need a level of education around that. So,
Absolutely.
in order to empower that dream, there's a manual that I need to read,
Yes.
and I need to
Yes.
succeed at that manual
Yeah.
and I need to understand how to drive this car. And
Right.
so it's not just about necessarily just hopping in a car and going. That may work
No,
for some
no, no.
people, but there are
No, no,
some
no.
things where
The
you need to
gas that
have
you're
the
putting
manual.
in the car
Yeah.
is not only thought based, it's also skill based. Because
Okay.
here's the thing, in law of attraction, the very first thing is awareness. Awareness that I need to do something different. Once you're aware, there are 6 steps. So, first is awareness. Now that I'm aware, the second step actually is acceptance. Acceptance that I am where I am, I accept it, and acceptance that I can change it.
Yeah.
Unless you start thinking that you can change it, you will never get started. Then the
Yeah.
third step is to start learning how it works. Step 4 is if you just learn how it works but you never use it, nothing will change.
Yeah.
So step 4 is use it so that it becomes a new skill. And once you have that new skill, you're going to make mistakes. I made so many mistakes. I drove everything into the ground. That's how many mistakes. So so you learn and you learn and you learn and you learn, and eventually you get to the stage where you're stable. Now you know how it works and you're using it consistently. And then stage 6 is mastery, where you've got it. You know how it works and you're not making any mistakes anymore. Not
Got
as
it.
many anyway.
Got it.
So, yes, you are right. And that happens side by side because life does not stop. So, even as we are learning law of attraction, we still do many things based on our old belief system until we change to the new. That change, that crossover takes time.
So what happens when we have these sort of unplanned life events that occur where we don't really know what we're attracting. We don't know anything. We don't know what this new dynamic was, right? Where we have to sort of maybe choose to learn from it. Because I believe very much that that's a choice. Like we choose to learn from
Yes,
things, right?
yes,
Things can happen to us. We can
yes, it
react
is.
to them. We choose to learn from
Absolutely.
them, right? But what happens when like we're just kind of waiting in the thing, right? Like I got laid off. I am going through a divorce. I had a parent or child pass, right? When we have these life events where we're like, I I didn't cause this. I didn't want this. This wasn't I didn't ask for this, right? Like this wasn't anything that I had dreamt of, hoped for, thought to exist, and it's happened. And now I don't feel confident in my thinking, in my energy anymore because this thing has now walloped me and I don't know what I'm attracting. I don't know how to feel. I don't know what this is for. How does one reconcile like those sort of life things with this idea of attraction?
Uh, it's very hard. Take it from someone who has been there and done that. It is very difficult because the very first thing that you have to accept before you can start healing and changing and really become the master of your destiny is that you created the mess that you're living.
Okay.
You created it because you were not aware. You were not aware of the difference between how much time you were spending on the negative side of the fence and how much time you were spending on the positive side of the fence. And let me give you a very simple example. Children become afraid, fearful of so many things that if they are not taught how to deal with the fear does not leave. It just keeps growing and growing and becoming bigger. It can start in simple ways, just a child being dropped off at a daycare and is afraid of fear of abandonment, or a child is afraid because parents are fighting at home. Fear fear when it grows and it's not addressed will attract into your life because it is negative. We were talking about fear just a few minutes ago. Fear is a negative energy that will bring events into your life that are seemingly not connected to you. You didn't ask for them, but you were asking through the vibration of fear. So the more we worry is a fear. Worry is the fear of things going wrong. Worry is the fear of things not going the way I want them to. When we worry, and a lot of us, I certainly did, I grew up worrying because my mother worried. And I really was so attached to my mother that even though I didn't know why she was worrying, but I was worrying about her being worried. So I was worrying all the time. And that worry affected all aspects of my life and eventually brought me into a marriage that was physically as well as mentally abusive to the extent that I ran away from home. And so fear is what calls all those negative things to happen in our lives. And it seems like a big surprise, but it is not a surprise that you were fearful. And that fear brought those things.
So two follow-up questions. The first is what keeps us safe from danger if not fear? Right? Like, so what's something that we should be employing outside of fear to keep us safe from danger? So that's my first question.
So if you didn't feel fear, danger cannot enter your life.
Okay.
So
Okay.
fear does not keep me safe. Fear exposes me.
Okay. Okay. Um, so if we have internal GPS, we are steering towards, our goal would be to steer towards something, not away from something else.
Um,
Right? Because away
well,
from something is like an avoidance, which would
yes,
be maybe tied to fear and negative emotions, as opposed to towards something, which would be
yes,
positive, meaning that we're looking to gain ground toward something. I don't,
yes.
maybe?
Yes, I totally get it. There's a video answering that question on my YouTube channel.
All right, guys, nope, you can't leave now. Nope, I gave you one. I gave you one. You have to finish this video to go to the next one, but stay,
It's
stay,
I'll just
guys.
I'll just tell you what it's called. It's called
Okay,
running away. Running towards something is not the same as running away from something.
okay,
They are very when you're running towards something, that's a vibration of hope.
yeah,
When you're running away from something, that's the vibration of fear.
got it.
Hope brings good results, fear brings bad results.
My second question is when when things like that happen, people tend to like want to sleep more when you have these negative life
Yes.
events that occur.
Hmm.
From a biological, physiological standpoint,
Yeah.
we're under stress, so more sleep is needed. We're
Yes.
probably feeling things like anxiety, and it's shooting all these neurons in our brains. So we need sleep to sort of
Yes.
counterbalance our brain's interactions during the day. Um, but then I would imagine just from this conversation, purely from this conversation, guys, right, that it also provides more space for our brains to receive more information because maybe while we're asleep, the static is a little lower. And
Yes.
so messaging from the universe can be a little clearer. I don't
That's right.
know. I'm literally just coming up
That
with
is right.
this thought, and
That
I
is
haven't
right.
read anything to differ. But I mean, I
So
feel
here's
like
the thing.
yeah,
When we sleep, or when we sleep and we truly sleep and our conscious mind is switched off, all the negative beliefs that are stored in our subconscious mind are also switched off. And when all our negative beliefs are switched off, we feel better because we are not worrying during that space of time. Not only can we receive information from the universe, which is helpful to us, but just the respite of not having those negative beliefs, when those files are open, it's like somebody is got a hammer and is hitting you with it.
yeah,
Like when we are in the midst of something falling apart, that's how it feels. It feels like, oh my God, when will this be over? And so that fear literally goes to sleep when you are asleep. And that's how your body can recover, because fear and worry puts your body physically into a lot of stress, because of which your body cannot function properly. And so that's a natural mechanism for the body to heal itself and for us to find the guidance that we are seeking so that we can improve our life.
perfect. So I have a closing question.
Sure.
Or I have a way that I approach something. I think you feel like a really great person to like challenge the approach, give me a different perspective on the approach, right? So I'm a spiritual person
Right.
that was birthed from a religious person
Yeah.
that was birthed from multiple forms of religion, right?
Sure.
So we do a
I get
couple
it.
religions, sort of, everything from you know, Baptist and Christian to non-denominational to I had a Wicca period, guys,
Mm-hmm.
right? I moved through some stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And came out spiritual. And I and so when people use the terms, this is where I'm going with this, guys. When people use the terms like universe
Yes.
and like the universe, let's say guiding, and then other people are like God guiding,
Yes.
right? And some people say energy guiding.
Mm-hmm.
In your opinion, are they describing the same force?
Yes.
Okay,
Totally.
they are.
Totally.
Okay,
Yeah. It's
because
just different nomenclature, but the same thing.
okay, because yeah, because I think to folks that are religious,
Yes.
I tend to describe like I tend to describe, and guys challenge me. You can go in a chat or something, right? Let me know what your thoughts are. But I tend to kind of think of it, and this maybe gives me just like a warm fuzzy, and it could be wrong, but I imagine that like, the universe is kind of the, the like the universe to me isn't describing the same thing that people often talk about when they describe the being of God, but more so feels like the hand of God. You know what I mean? Like I feel like so let me say it, because I feel like I've met folks that have real issue with supplementing God in universe. They're like
Mm-hmm.
the universe cannot be God. God cannot be the universe. But there's like the physical universe, stars, solar systems, and that's not what we're describing. We're talking about the universe. We're talking about a machination. Machination may seem negative, but a movement, an operation within the space that we exist in, both in the physical and spiritual and emotional and vibrational plane, in which it is not pure chaos, that there is
So,
movement in it. So can you talk about that? Because I feel like I talk to a lot of folks that are religious that are just like, God can't be the universe. Take take, and this isn't to put you on the spot because we didn't have this in a pre-show conversation, but I think when in folks that may be sort of religious minded in hearing this conversation, I kind of feel like we've been using terms like universe and and that may feel like it's confusing in terms of just word usage for like, are you talking about God as a spiritual being, regardless of what that God looks like, the Christian Judaic God, or like or gods that exist in other cultures? Are they in fact the same? Are they separate? Like how are you viewing that when we're talking about the universe? For those who may be listening that are trying to figure out if those terms are interchangeable, not interchangeable, or what ways they may be different
well,
or
first of all, I want to say that if you look at it from this point of view, that we all come from God and we all return to it,
yeah,
right? That
yeah,
that is the religious belief
yep,
across all religions,
yep,
and so uh, we all come from the universe and we return to it. So that kind of puts it at okay, then it's the same.
yes,
Um, I love this way of thinking about it. Think about the energy that we call God as a vast ocean, massive ocean
yeah,
made up of drops of water.
yeah,
And each one of us is like a drop of water that when you take that drop out of the ocean and you put it on planet Earth, it has its individual existence. But soon as that drop rolls back into the ocean, it loses its individual existence and becomes part of that energy.
the
And
whole,
so the whole, yes. So the soul returns to where it was birthed from. And to me, it's the same. So the concepts are the same, the words used are differentiating between them, because we so badly as humans want to be right, and I am right and your perspective is wrong. And that that wanting to be right is at the basis of so much struggle, and uh, so many wars. All wars are about people wanting to be right.
Yeah.
And I want to say that it's all the same thing. Have never had a quarrel with God. In fact, I pray to God. And to me, God and the universe are all the same thing. And what I want to leave you and our audience with an idea is that the law of attraction is not God, and law of attraction is also not the universe. Law of attraction is like, it's a system that God uses to grant wishes.
Yeah.
Law of attraction is like a program that you put on your computer that helps you to match one thing with another thing.
Got it.
Law of attraction is neither God nor is law of attraction the universe.
Got it. It's a system through which those things can operate.
It's
That creates
God's, yeah.
a
I regard it as the way in which desires are mashed up with results.
got it. Okay. I sort of like that because I think what I've gotten from what you're describing is that in our attempts to kind of create God and everything that sort of comes with the connotations of God into concrete form, the way that we describe or name the concreteness can change from culture to culture, but we're
Well,
still but we're
talking
still,
about the same thing. Yes, but here's what I want to say, Dion, and that is that a lot of people are upset with God because a lot of people cannot understand why their life looks the way it looks, because they are good people and
yeah,
good people should get good things.
yes,
And so a lot of people don't want to have God in their lives because they feel that God's not on their side.
got it.
And from there, this word, the universe or source or whatever you want to call it, that's where that word has come from, because I no longer want this God entity that doesn't support me in my
Yeah,
life. I would much rather believe in something that I know will support me. And the thing is that support does not come from anywhere outside of us. It
yeah,
comes from inside us. And the more you learn about law of attraction, the more you will start understanding that there's actually a science to it. And it's not woo woo, and it is absolutely, all of it is physics. And um, you can see the laws of physics applying in law of attraction. And who cares what you call it, as long as I am able to live a life that is fulfilling and happy and free, and I'm getting what I want. I don't care what you call it, but I
yeah.
will say that understanding law of attraction has helped me deepen my understanding of what religion really is.
Got it.
People give lip service to religion but don't practice it.
Yeah,
And law of attraction is that practice part. It's the spirit in spirituality that
yeah.
has been lost to us, that we can no longer find inside our religions, that we look for outside of those religions. But it's all the same. It's all the
Okay.
same.
All right. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for that clarity. All right. So I have two questions that I ask
Okay.
everyone that joins on the Man versus Brand podcast. The first is on any streaming platform, book, or TV movie source was something that you recently engaged with that you thoroughly enjoyed.
I just recently completed watching a documentary on docu series on Netflix called Connect, and
Net.
I really enjoyed watching it. It was a lot of fun.
Okay, cool. So I'm gonna put that in the show notes. It's NET
Connect.
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 Okay, Connect. All right, cool.
Yeah.
Connects. All right. So do you get a lot of time to like watch shows like or do you have like particular genres like docu-series, the genre that you appreciate?
No, no, I don't have any particular. I just whatever I gravitate towards. But I'll tell you why I watch them. Yes, I watch a lot of them.
Yeah.
Is because it prevents my mind from wandering to places that I don't know it's wandering to. I
Ah.
I give my mind a task to do so that it remains mindful when I'm doing the dishes, when I'm putting the laundry away. My mind does not wander to places that I don't know it's going to because I give
Uh-huh.
it a show to watch.
Got it. Okay. I like that. It's like a life hack. Okay. All right. Second thing is same question, same setup on any streaming platform, podcast, book, or movie, TV. What's something that you thoroughly enjoyed that people may not know that you like? Like what's something that like if I ask like a bunch of people that know you, they may not know that you thoroughly enjoy it. You know, it could be like a genre, whatever that you thoroughly enjoy, but folks may not necessarily associate with you.
Okay. So many things that you don't know about me.
Well,
I
no,
watch
no,
everything. I
no.
watch
The people in
everything.
your life, like what? So let's say I talk to
People in my life
like
don't
a
know
child,
that I
like
watch.
yeah, like a child. Like if I talk to like a partner, if I talk to like people that you have been in business with for a while, and you're like, I really like to listen to podcasts around this topic. And most people, I don't really ever bring it up because it's something that like I personally enjoy, but it may not necessarily be connected to my relationships with folks.
So the thing is, people who live with me, who are my family, they know what I enjoy because I
Yeah,
watch it. I watch everything with them.
yeah,
um, People that maybe I do business with maybe might not know, although I do have a program, a membership program that I talk to every single day and they know everything that's going on in my life.
yeah.
But I will say that you may not know,
Okay,
Dion, that
okay.
I absolutely love and adore spy movies and spy
Ooh,
programs. Absolutely. But at the same time, I also love and adore um, fashion movies and programs that have to do with fashion and design and things like that. So my
yeah,
interests are so diverse,
yeah.
so
No,
diverse.
I ask it because I ask everyone the same question. I personally enjoy Asian period pieces around like court intrigue. Like I am fascinated around like harems and like pecking orders and like how women were able to like assert power and influence using like patriarchal systems and navigating through them,
Oh
in these
yeah,
kind of like non-obvious ways, but in very intentional ways. And so
oh yes,
seeing how
I
that has
I
played
know
out
all
in a
about
lot,
that.
yeah, like seeing that play out in cultures, I'm like fascinated by it, right? I'm like, you're given
Yeah,
all of this restriction, and yet you find influence and power and like, authority and agency, and you define for yourself, yet you have all of these boundaries around the ways that you can express it. And to me, that feels so empowering and like just I don't know, I'm just so influenced by it, right? And so I've now gotten when I started the podcast, I started asking people that question because I think that's when I think you see people's eyes light up, right? Because we could talk about the power of law of attraction, and you're gonna talk about that intensely, but like, what's something that you enjoy that if someone's listening right now, they're like, "Ooh, that sounds kind of interesting. I think I want to check that out."
I watch everything.
Yeah,
I I watch lots of things.
awesome, awesome. Well, listen. So you have given us the ways that we can to get in touch with you. That will definitely be in the show notes. You have a wonderful book again that I was able to read. She actually sent me two guys. Manifesting Mistakes, boop, and then Prosperity Puzzle. I'm gonna ask you for one more thing. So, because I usually close out with, give us how we can get in contact with you now that we already know, and you guys check out one of the episodes from the YouTube, and right after this, you're going to check out the second episode of the YouTube, and you're going to go to zmahoon.com to check out the website and get connected with all that information. What do you think is the one manifesting mistake that folks may not be intentionally doing, but is common to a lot of the folks that you end up coaching? Like, leave us with that. What's something that someone can walk away with, that where you may challenge the way that they believe that they're attracting or influencing the law of attraction? What's a mistake that we may be making that's common that we may not even be aware of?
The biggest mistake people make with using law of attraction is that they keep asking over and over and over again for the same thing. They ask through their prayers, they ask through their visualization. They keep asking the universe all the time. And when you ask all the time, that's not asking anymore, that's complaining.
Ooh. Ooh. Oh, guys, I'm Dion Brown. This is Man versus Brand. I want to thank our guests for joining us. I hope you got a lot out of it, man. I'm so fired up for you guys to enjoy this episode. I think it's going to be life-changing, life-affirming. It's going to create some shifts in the way that you think about the way that you're maneuvering through this thing called life, and the things that you can, in fact, call into reality if you so chose to. Thank you so much, Zehra. I appreciate your time, your energy, and in fact, your knowledge and patience with us. Thank you guys for listening, sharing, and enjoying the stuff that I put out for you guys. I hope you love this episode. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.